creating the spiritual identity, putting yourself above. And when the ego latches on to something like that, it's a very dangerous game to play, especially in the spiritual communities with facilitators. What they say and the way, what they present to the world and how they actually live and how they are outside of the light is very, very different. They actually not there even for the people. They actually are there for themselves. The amount of power that you can have as a facilitator over people can really corrupt the mind very, very easy.
This episode is really, really important. And today I'm joined again by my amazing friend Theo, who is a coach and mind-body connection specialist who works with high-performing men to heal, lead, and live with purpose. He's trained in somatic and nervous system work, psychedelic integration, and facilitates retreats centered on responsibility, embodiment, and integrity. Now, Theo has already shared his personal story with me before in season 1, and today's conversation goes somewhere very different. And in this episode, we're really exploring the shadow side of healing spaces, specifically the presence of dark or distorted energy that can emerge in circles and the risks inherent in facilitator-client dynamics, and the unique dangers that arise when power, vulnerability, and sexuality become entangled. We're going to be speaking candidly about what Theo witnessed while exploring tantra and spiritual communities and why discernment, boundaries, and ethics are not optional in healing work. They are foundational. This conversation is not about fear or accusation. It's about responsibility, awareness, and protecting the integrity of healing spaces for all. Listener discretion is advised for this episode, you guys, especially if you have a history of spiritual or relational trauma. Welcome back.
Well, good to be back.
I can't believe it's been like a year and a half since you came in here.
Yeah, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, super crazy. And I know
Yeah.
you're doing incredible things now in the men's world.
Thank you, you do.
Yeah,
With
so
your work.
I'm excited to have you on because lately I've been noticing a lot of horrendous things happening in these spiritual communities here in Bali.
Yeah.
And I know you're seeing it too. So
I would say everywhere.
everywhere, yeah, I'm just seeing it here. But
Yeah.
why do you think that's happening right now?
If we really take it from the perspective of the collective, and we see also what's happening like in a bigger scale around the world, you can really see that we're trying to work through basically specific things. Take on like the Epstein files, everything that is getting released there, from the genocide, the wars, like all the stuff. Like there's just so much, darkness and intensity happening around the world. And essentially, I feel we're trying to process a lot of the shadow aspects and the dark aspects of our psyche. So that filters through for me from what I've seen in every industry, every occupation, like everywhere.
When the collective is facing that, like we all know, whatever's outside of us is a direct mirror of what's going on within us. So we can't bypass that exists within our psyche, right? Or you bypass the whole experience. So in what parts of your world have you explored that darkness side?
Well, my exploration of darkness, like my own darkness, I've been doing that from the moment I connected with proper inner work, like especially the last 8 years, it's something that I have spent a lot of time, going into. So actually seeing those aspects within myself as I'm seeing it externally. And that's essentially what shadow work is, why it's so important also. So if we cannot look inside and find those things inside ourselves, we're constantly going to be projecting externally. And this is a big problem that we see. I feel you probably see it all the time also in facilitating spaces and like in general, with so much projection from unseen, essentially, aspects of ourselves and big blind spots.
And even with the Epstein stuff coming out, right? I guess the hardest thing I'm dealing with is like, yes, I can see the aspects within me that created this world that we're in now, but how do we change it?
This is the thing. That's why inner work is very important. And when I talk about inner work, I mean actually working in every level, like mind, body, and spirit, because we can't separate anything. As soon as you separate one from the others, the whole system falls apart. So for me, actually, first of all, looking at your own self deeply and actually stop hiding so you can meet those parts inside yourself. Like, for example, your capacity to do bad, your capacity for evil, your capacity essentially to explore that. And I feel because for a long time, because of religion, conditioning in general, we have been sheltered from those parts of ourselves as a collective and as individuals. That's I feel the big problem that religion did also. It basically completely sheltered us from that. And that's why it was coming out with so many destructive ways. So from the moment you change and you start looking inwards and not externally, it shifts completely everything. And the external environment is a great mirror from the people that you have in your life, from whatever you see out there in the world, to really actually look at this internally and see what brings up for you as an individual.
And you, who's gone into those dark places, do you see a really big difference in what the collective is showing and what your little world is? Do you see that big difference?
Yeah, there is a big difference because for me as an individual, for example, when I started looking inwards and I actually saw, for example, one of the first things that really shocked me was to get confronted with a reality that I was a manipulator, I was a liar, a cheater, like all those things of myself that I was actually not allowing myself to see. It changed everything for me, the way actually I showed up later on. So I had to meet those parts of myself. But if those stay unchecked and we're just keeping them in the dark, they're going to keep coming up in very, destructive ways.
And where in the world do you think most people are putting things in the dark? In the religious communities and in the spiritual communities?
Oh, everywhere. New Age spirituality became the new bubble, essentially, that people come in with the hope to heal and become better and grow and transcend and all the beautiful things. But because of the way it's done, it creates even more bypassing. That's why spiritual bypassing is a big thing. And it has created big communities, essentially, of people of love and light and people that they keep hiding. That's the thing. It's a new bubble that people enter, but it's the same thing happening. And a lot of the times in even more destructive ways also there.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by more destructive?
Yeah, because creating the spiritual identity, which essentially putting yourself above, and when the ego latches on to something like that, is a very dangerous game to play. And I think this is a conversation that we have had like plenty of times when we catch up, especially in the spiritual communities with facilitators and people that pretend, that they're doing that work and all the stuff. What they say and what they present to the world and how they actually live and how they are outside of the light is very, very different.
Right.
And that's the problem, because they still refuse to look at themselves properly because they create this new identity.
Yeah, a whole new attachment to something that's not real.
Yeah.
The most dangerous thing I've seen is, as a facilitator, when you do hold really deep space for your clients, which we do, right? And we love that. There is a God complex that we have to face.
Massive.
Where I am saving this person, because in essence, you're saving the younger you that you wish was saved. But if you really go back to those days, I'm so glad no one saved me because I wouldn't be able to hold anybody because I've held myself there.
Yeah.
So then you step into this new role and you're like, oh, look at me. I am healed. Let me hold you. Yeah. And you kind of pull your client, not in neutrality. You're not holding them in neutrality. You're saying, where I am is better than where you are. Come join me. And I think that's the big mistake that I'm seeing a lot of facilitators making now, is not meeting the client where they are, but kind of blasting them into where they think they need to be because they believe they're better there than where they, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, because it goes back to the same thing, because they think they have separated themselves from the ego and they actually operate from a more authentic place and a better place. But the truth is very, very different. And the problem is what that does, they actually not there even for the people. They actually are there for themselves. So they can be seen as more powerful, as more advanced, more, like all the things that, are all like that can actually provide you. And the amount of power that you can have as a facilitator over people can really corrupt the mind very, very easy.
So easily.
Very, very easy.
And I think if anyone's listening to this and you are a facilitator, I want you to think about the expectations you put on what spirituality is, what you have to look like, what you have to dress, how you have to eat, all of those conditions that you've put on what being spiritual or enlightened means is just a whole nother layer of egotistical bullshit.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's nothing more spiritual than anything else.
Yeah.
In truth.
That's why people, you see them, they start wearing feathers and this and that, like they buy all the tools, and it becomes this new shiny thing that they are creating. And they get lost into that. Identification with something like that is a very, very dangerous game to play. It's a big problem. And look, there's certain phases that we have to go through in our process, especially the ones that we choose to take that massive responsibility, because it's a massive responsibility, like to hold people in those ways. And the certain phase, from the phase of the wounded healer, like, and as you progress, there's so many different levels and things that we have to face. But if that goes unchecked and you get stuck in one of those, this is where it becomes very, very dangerous.
And then you've
for
got everyone. And the clients that are coming in. So yoni work, for example. Mm-hmm. The only reason that I've even gone into that is because it changed my life. Being held by a woman in yoni work through sexual abuse, and the story I was holding back then, which was I was unlovable. When a woman held me and allowed me to face that place and release that energy, it completely changed my life. And there's no sexuality involved in the experience. It's a ceremony. It's held sacredly. There's no attraction. It's literally going inward into that experience and being held by a facilitator. That facilitator has to have really strong boundaries and has to really know how to anchor and hold that space. So now as I've stepped in and doing that, I'm noticing the projection of the guru on me, because you're taking them to a place that they've never been before, and they're looking at you like you're a god, and you really have to take yourself down from that pedestal, consciously, because otherwise that projection, it creates another imbalance, where they need you to save them. And where I'm seeing this going wrong is the freaking yoni work being done up in Ubud. You can just find a healer, show up, and get finger banged by some lady, and the people that are coming to me, they don't even remember the experience. They completely disassociated. They felt not safe. They're paying $1,000 to be fingered by some lady in Ubud, and they're coming to me like, oh, I'm more traumatized. I'm like, but the problem is you're consenting to a spiritual experience that you don't even know what the fuck you're dancing with. Like you were telling me, what's the woman that paid $1,500 to go to some orgy?
No, it wasn't an orgy. It was actually a male facilitator. But that's the problem. There's actually men also that they're trying to do this kind of work with women. And
it shouldn't be happening. No, right? Say that louder for the people in the back. If you are a dude, you should not be doing yoni healing. It's a women-to-women transmission to hold sacred space. Now, if you want to do this with your partner in a loving way and teach your partner that's a male how to hold you in that capacity, cool. But you shouldn't be like, I'm sorry, you're fucked. You're fucked if that's what you want to be doing is doing that. I feel like it has to be coming from a distorted place, no?
It's very, look, I'm not going to say that they cannot be like, like a healthy expression of that. Like everything is possible, but what we're seeing out there, it's definitely not that. And I do feel there's a massive problem in general, especially with tantric communities and like all these kind of communities that they bring people in like to teach something, like a new way to connect spiritually and all the stuff. But in the process, like I do feel it gets very, very wrong because of the energies that they come into. And I don't know, it has created for me like a very, very big problem in general.
And when you were exploring those communities to understand them, like what happens in there? I'm too afraid to go. So what happens in those communities? Because when people come to me and they say the word tantra, it pisses me off because it's been so tainted. Like tantra is just a full body yes in the body. Yeah. It's like living in the present moment. It's not sex. It's not sitting in you can make it that.
It's a small part of that. It's like, obviously, the deepest spiritual experience that we can have it's through sex.
Of course.
That's the thing.
Of course, but for a woman that's been sexually abused, or a man that's been sexually abused, that's now going in for spiritual healing into a tantra community where there's 50 people with different rooms consenting into whatever type of dark shadows they want to explore, that's not the tantric sexual experience that I've been shown.
I do feel there's a lot of, because there are a lot of people are curious because obviously it's very, it's everywhere now. Like it has become like a bit of a norm also, and you have communities everywhere. I do feel there's so many people that they go there for the first time. And first of all, they are unaware themselves about themselves and what they carry, their own blind spots and all that stuff. So when they enter a space like this, because in the beginning, like a lot of those spaces, they provide the safety, but I do feel like it goes wrong as you allow yourself like through the processes in a lot of ways, because you have so many parties, you have so many different aspects of this, and I've seen also like a lot of things going wrong.
What are the big things that you've seen go wrong?
Things coming up for people and not essentially having people to hold them through their process properly. That's the thing. And I do feel there's a lot of leaky energy there, a lot of seedy energy from both men and women. Yeah, and it really creates a massive problem.
In your experience, do you see bad and good and evil and not evil?
Yeah, we are we live in that duality. We are in the third dimension, which is the material. And being here and having the human experience, we have to accept the duality of things. We have to accept good and bad, pain and pleasure, light and dark, everything. We live in a dual reality. And the problem happens now because there's so much about transcending and reaching higher dimensions and this and that. Like there's just so much
Bullshit.
yeah, like so much spiritual fluff and the level of spirituality, the kind of spirituality that is promoted now. For example, see what happened even with Deepak Chopra and so many other people. I believe we're going to see so many more names. And even historically, if we go back, a lot of the big spiritual teachers, I haven't heard from literally almost anyone being what he shows out there, like being the same also after. Outside of that, outside of those spaces.
With the sexual exploitation.
Sexual abuse, like exploitation, like all that stuff. And this is one of the big things that we're trying at the moment to process, like as a collective, the way we mentioned at the beginning.
Well, it's like the hidden stuff, right? It's like you want to think that you can trust the government that you've voted in. I know.
Trust the government.
Trust, but like again, when you think about, like I think about what I would want, would be to be having people that were for the people, that were making sure that we could live in a society outside of the state of nature, which if you read any sort of philosophy book, that was bananas too, right? So now we're trying to live in a society where we're safe to live, and we have to trust when the whole system is showing you that the gurus are raping women, right? The people that we're listening to, and children, right? Yeah. And all of the most powerful figures are doing all this disgusting, outlandish pedophilia stuff. Like that energy is rampant. And where I'm seeing it is in the spiritual communities. That same dark energy that is in the Epstein stuff that I feel and see is the same energy I'm seeing in those tantric communities. It's not different.
No. It infiltrates everywhere. That's the problem. And it's so hard also to really check that. Like, how can we do it? It's very, very hard. And this is one thing, because this is going on for thousands of years. Like if you go back in history, you can see it everywhere. But the problem is there were so many institutions that got created to protect that from coming out. But now with obviously with the internet and social media and all the stuff, everything just has come up in the surface. So all that darkness that was hiding for so long, it's just visible for everyone. And unfortunately, for a lot of people that are so sheltered from that, inside and outside, getting confronted with this reality and trying to even grasp that everything that they thought this human reality is, it's not. It's very, very difficult for them to really process that. That's why a lot of people, they will choose to just keep the same program that they have, because it's too intense, too painful. They're going to fracture. It's a big problem. We faced the same thing with COVID. The whole process really started through that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think during COVID, it was massive polarity. Mm-hmm. And the two poles were couldn't have been to living. I remember I was like, wow, there's so many ways you can look at this. My family and my friends were all in pods. They weren't allowing each other to, like, they literally followed that system. I was like, fuck the vaccine.
Completely.
I'm living in Hawaii. I'm free. I don't have to go to work. This is amazing. And I'm like, how can both of these realities exist at the same time?
But how also, us being like that, the ones that we already knew, and being these free and authentically expressed individuals going out there, because I'm pretty sure you didn't wear a mask either. And
No,
everything else.
absolutely
I
not.
remember myself, and this is a clear way to see evil actually getting projected to you. I remember going inside like supermarkets without a mask, and straight away, the way everyone was getting triggered just by my presence, because I was so free and I did not give a fuck. I had even 70-year-old old ladies coming and trying to smash my bag with my stuff. Like, I mean, I saw so much projection of this unprocessed, essentially, darkness inside.
Yeah, 100%.
It was crazy.
And now with everything coming out, you're seeing, you know, how corrupt the vaccine. So I was working on the vaccine and I was seeing them manipulate. I think I told you this, manipulating the data. And I remember being like, I'm not signing that. And they said, well, then you can lose your job. And I was like, fine, fire me. I'm not, you know, I don't care. And the whole industry. And that's when I saw like, wow, I always wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to help people. And then I wanted to change medicine because I wanted to help people. And in reality, working for any of the systems isn't helping anything.
No.
It's the only thing that can help anyone is finding sovereignty, remaining sovereign, and bringing other people to that sovereignty without fearing death.
Yeah.
Which is like...
But accepting that.
Yeah, like accepting that it's inevitable. But if we fear it, we end up living in the system, right? Like it's...
You end up also not living. That's the thing.
It's wild. Do you think with this Epstein stuff coming out, you know, how is that going to change the way that the world is run in the West?
I think progressively, because obviously there's more and more things are going to come into the surface. I do believe because of how many more people are consistently waking up, because of, you know, there's so much work being done out there. There's a lot of good work happens out there, like especially the last 6 years from the moment COVID started. So I do feel people will start progressively to accept it as a collective. And essentially, the more every individual actually does that process, the more it will start to shift also in a bigger scale externally.
And do you think we can win this battle? Or do you think the duality will always exist, but can it maybe be... Like right now, I feel like the amount of people living awake versus the amount of people living sleeping is not in balance.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely not 50-50. But do you think we can move in a world where it gets to that point where it's 90% awake and 10% sleeping? Is that possible?
No.
How come?
Because I do feel, and there's a lot of conversations that happen out there, like it's the rule of 20%. It takes 20% to achieve that, to have a massive shift happening as a collective. You don't
20% of people.
Yeah, you don't need more than that. And
That's
trust
it.
me, we are far from the 20%.
Where do you think we're at?
I don't really know. Like, actually, that's a good question, but how can you measure something like that? But definitely we're not there yet. In this plane, there's always going to be an equal amount of both. It requires balance. That's the thing. How that looks, it may change like according to stages, basically like in humanity and all the stuff and what processes we go through. But there's always has to be an equal amount of the two. Because there's no light without dark and there's no dark without light. So that's the thing. Eradicating one, the other ceases to exist. This plane is literally for that. Every soul that comes here comes to have this kind of experience. And let me ask you this also. If you probably have explored like past lives of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done fucked up shit in
Horrible.
your past life? That's the thing.
Horrible. This is the thing. I have been the king. I have been the beggar. I have been the slut. I have been the rapist. I have been it all.
That's the thing.
And I think there's like there's humbling senses. Now, I got obsessed with past lives for a while. I wanted to know more and more and more. And now I'm kind of like, fuck it. Okay, I get it. I've done it all.
Yeah.
So can I come to the present moment again and start to live and choose what is in resonance with me? And I think that's a really hard thing because like for where I'm at, and I do agree with John DeMartini in this a little bit with him and
let's
the
talk
upper
about
market
this a
thing.
bit.
Yeah, let's talk because when he says, whatever your values are, your amygdala will work right away for whatever the morality is in alignment with your value system. So for me in this life, with what I've been through, I do have a lot of morality against this pedophilia bullshit. I do. I've been through it. I've been molested. My clients have all been raped and molested. It's a big part of whatever I'm moving through in my consciousness. So having that big, all the kids are being, it pisses me off, and it makes me want to do something. So like I'm in alignment with that of where my morality is at. And I can't even see how somebody could say, yes, it's the best thing that ever happened to me with where I am right now. Like I'm not saying that, but I don't necessarily wish for the rest of the world to go through that. Can't we find a better way?
But that's the problem with his teachings. Essentially, he has zoomed out so much. He has gone too fucking far that for him, basically, evil and good doesn't exist. There's no.
So does he think he's God?
That's a good question, because that's the thing. When you actually reach to those levels, that's how you view things. And even for me, when I was watching actually the podcast, I sat down because I got triggered in the beginning, like from both. But then when I started watching it, like from a bit of a detached place, so I can carefully observe what they're saying, I saw basically two versions of myself basically fighting with each other, because I've been both in my beliefs, in everything, and I've experienced both. For example, I had so many experiences, especially with plant medicine, that experienced God in such a profound way. And it did help me to see myself in a very different way. Because when you access that, there is no good or bad. That's the reality.
Yeah,
when you go to that level. But that's what I mean. But when you come back and you ground yourself, when you actually inhabit your vessel properly, the reality is when something is bad or evil, you feel it deeply in your body. You are going to have a response. You know, Aubrey Marcus, for example, he was bringing the example of someone, breaking into your house and trying to kill your wife and all the stuff. What would you do then? Like, personally, I would kill straight away. Like, this is not acceptable. Or protecting your kids and all the stuff. This is, and it feels in your body inherently evil. That's the truth. But that's where he misses the point. That's why they couldn't actually see each other, essentially, because both exist at the same time. But you cannot say that there's upsides to basically kids getting raped and killed.
In this reality.
In this reality, that's
the thing. And you're not living in this reality. Now, I remember plant medicine for me when I came back. I remember looking around and being like, the homeless people get it and I don't. They don't need anything. And then I was like, what is money? And I maxed out all my credit cards. And I was like, it doesn't matter anyways.
Yeah.
And then
It's
my
so
car
easy to
got
get it.
impounded. And then I had all this tax bills. And I was like, it actually really does
100%
matter in this reality. If you want to try to live in the other reality, there's the tantric community again.
But that's why the whole experience here, we're actually descending. We don't come here to ascending.
We're putting the light
we're
in.
literally coming down. We're descending to this experience so we can have this beautiful experience. Because the reality is, without the human body, you're just fucking energy and consciousness. And this experience is so fucking profound and vast. Like, you can literally be anything that you want and explore yourself in so many ways. But that's why when you see people like DeMartini, for example, he looks like a robot. He's completely out. He's just on the mind. Yeah. There's no heart, there's no feeling, there's literally just nothing. And it goes back to the same that I said before, like, it's mind, body, and spirit. Yes, you can actually understand those advanced teachings and apply them when they are applicable that can actually help you. But you have to be inside here, man.
The body the fascia system is literally your nervous system in real time. Your body is going to react to whatever is going on externally immediately without you even thinking. You contract or you expand. This feels good. This feels shitty. Right? That this feels shitty. What am I going to do? Am I going to freeze? Am I going to hide? Am I going to fight? What am I going to do?
That's it.
Right? And it's like, you just have to learn how to live within that. And I think what is bullshit is that if everyone has disconnected so much from their soul and from their spirit that they can sit there and they can do evil. To me, I know I've done it, right? Like, I'm not saying that I haven't in past lives, but to do that is another form of evil and shadow that you're really stepping into as an aspect, you know?
But this is the thing. That's why we say everything that you're applying to, it will come out in those fucked up ways, unfortunately. And that's specifically for those horrific things that we're saying. They have been going through for thousands of years, unchecked and hidden, and they come out the way we saw. It's a massive problem right now. But I do feel we have the greatest opportunity ever in humanity to properly actually process all that and see all the good work that is happening out there. I see there's so many men out there that are actually creating fake, they even have like profiles and all the stuff and, on Instagram or other places, and they create fake profiles and they go and they catch pedophiles. They set them up, and then they have a meeting when they were supposed to meet a kid, and they fuck them up, like literally.
I love it.
Yeah, there's men like Tim Ballard, for example. I don't know if you have seen it. There is actually the movie that he made with Jim Caviezel that plays him as a character, that literally he infiltrates those rings in South America and other places to save kids. And he's doing so for fucking 20 years or something. So there's so much that is happening at the moment. And that's why I kept telling you, there's an equal amount of both. There's people that they fight for the light, there's people that they fight and they pure evil, essentially.
But nothing in turn is actually evil. It's distorted. Yeah. It's the shadow. Yeah. Like they said, I think when DeMartini was talking about that 8-year-old that was molested, he was shamed for masturbation.
Yeah.
And then now he's dreaming, he's 35 years old and he's dreaming about 8-year-old little girls. Okay, cool, but sick.
Yeah.
You know, like, I get it.
Yeah.
From, like you said, from the mind. Yeah. But from a body perspective, to go and do that, you have to be so disconnected from
But you can
anything.
see for him, even the way he says it, he doesn't get the feeling of...
I think about it, and
you contract straight away.
Yeah,
You're
like gross.
No, I would still do something about it. That's the reality.
Yeah.
And we can't protect this kind of behaviors. This is the thing. It's very, very important. And I do feel for all of us that we have been doing all this work, because essentially, there's a lot of conversation about choosing a side or not. And essentially for him, you should not choose a side. There is no side to choose. For DeMartini specifically.
So he's just Switzerland.
Something like that. I don't know how to describe it actually. But the reality is, at least for my experience and from so many people that either I have guided or, I'm connected with, they have done a lot of work on themselves, you can see it. Like as you're going through your process and you're moving through your own darkness, your own destructive patterns and shadows and all that stuff, essentially you come to a point and you make that decision. I'm fucking light. I'm not dark, but I have to go through the dark
and make the
to
choice.
Find that. There's no other way. You have to go through that. That's why it's bypassing. You see so many people nowadays, they tend to back to Christianity and Jesus, for example.
I can't.
Because that's another funny one.
Everyone's come to Jesus now. They go, I have no feelings anymore. I've just handed it over to Jesus,
and you know what the funny thing is? Like I've seen so many people through the years, like even people that I knew, I've seen the different identities that they play, from the identities that they create online so they can get business and do their things. And you see them, that like every time an identity stops basically working for them, they go to the new thing. And essentially that's what happens also with going back to Jesus and this big transition that people from New Age spirituality go there. Because they're still bypassing and they're trying to find this new shiny thing that it's going to save them, because they still avoid sitting with their shit, and they go to Jesus, and then after a while this is going to stop working also, because they're still not looking at themselves, and then they're going to find a new thing. They're going to go to Buddha, they're going to go to...
It never ends.
They're going to become Muslims. Like, I don't know what's next. Like,
and it's
seriously.
like the thing that you mentioned earlier, the mind, body, spirit, right? Like I think the mind and the spirit, like everybody's trying to do that, mind and spirit. Mm-hmm. And they're skipping the body.
Yeah.
The body doesn't fucking lie.
No.
Ever.
No.
The body tells the truth no matter what. Your mind can tell you, the mind is DeMartiniville. Mm-hmm. Everything works here, right? Yeah, because it's almost like when I used to struggle with the SATs. I don't know if you had, did you guys take standardized testing to get into college?
Standard? No, I didn't do it.
So they had, it was like this word is to this word, like this word is to this word. And I could be like, oh, well, all of these words kind of work in my head, right? But it's like, that's kind of what our mind does. It makes sense of all these things. Yeah. But in reality, the body, the second you walk into a situation that's evil, your body says, this is wrong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't lie. You walk into a room and you're like, oh, like it's like I'm not meant to be here, but we ignore it.
Yeah. If you don't create space inside the body, the soul cannot come through. It's a fucking fact. You can romanticize things and fantasize things in the mind and all the stuff and go into the dreamland and la 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 la. But if you don't open up the body and actually create the safety inside, the soul cannot be expressed properly. It's a fact. And that's the thing. You can work with a man, and it's very, very important because we actually, we all create these self-imposed prisons inside our minds that we try, because we learned that from a very young age, we try to put ourselves inside boxes inside our minds, and we have to open those doors and liberate the mind also. But if the body is not safe and free so we can access it and properly ground in, we're just going to become like people in Ubud and other communities, just going there and la la la, everything is...
Ecstatic,
ecstatic dance.
Ecstatic dance and all that bullshit. It's hard because even me, and I'm no fucking guru, I've got plenty of shadows I still got to work
If someone tells me I'm a guru,
I can't stand
myself.
Like I have plenty of shadows, I still got plenty of darkness, I'm still working through a lot of different things, right? But even me, what I've noticed, sometimes even what I have thought was God and spirit is just my wounded healer coming through, because spirit holds no judgment.
Yeah.
It holds no polarity. It's it's neutral.
Yeah.
It's not high, it's not low, it just is. You're just present and accepting and surrendering. And I've really recognized with my body, when I do my work and my body reacts in whatever way, it's because there's still aspects of me that need to be worked through. Like I'm not a clear vessel. I'm doing my damn best to try, because I'm seeing a lot of unintegrated people in this space. But you see these people, they go to a 3-day breathwork certification, and then there they are, they're holding 70 people in a room doing conscious connected breath, bringing people into these situations that they can't even land themselves. Yeah. And what's really scary, especially here in Bali, is everyone's coming here wounded. They're trying to find themselves. They're trying to figure it out. And then they're coming to these spaces that is so unregulated. Like there's... what's the certification process? And I'm so glad there's not, but I'm also wish there was, like in the polarity of it, because they're coming for help and then they're walking out worse.
You know what? But in the end, like I think we talked about that in our last conversation a bit. People will go to the ones according to where they're at in their journey. So they may go somewhere and they get hurt by the experience that they had, they may get re-traumatized, but essentially at some point it's going to lead them to a healthier facilitator, to a modality or something that works for them. And essentially they will have to learn also from those bad experiences. I used to be also someone, people will come to me, he did this to me, they did this to me, like, I have people coming from all these other facilitators or spaces and ceremonies and everything, and they will share like how unsafe they felt, what happened, how they got abused, like all those different things. And straight away, the warrior in me, because that's how I am, oh no, I need to go there and, find them and do this and do that. And I would get so fixated with that. But the reality is, people have to go and have the experience, and eventually they will find us. Because where you're at, and the way you vibrate and the way you work, or the level that you have reached, it will attract people that they can actually receive what you have. How many times you did sessions with people or you did work with people that they weren't ready to receive you? Yeah,
and it always, this week alone, I've had 2 clients that just decided, I'm not going to pay. Or, it's like whenever I'm trying to save a client that's not ready for me, there's some sort of a weird hiccup that happens with the container or this or that, right? And it's like, when I am stark on this is the way the container works, this is how it's held, this is the price. Anyone that's really ready, there's never a problem.
Yeah, 100%.
It just, they come
but that's
in
why
and they receive it.
if we start diluting our work and we're not operating from integrity and actually honor ourselves, and we say yes to people that clearly we can see that they cannot receive our work because either it's too deep, too intense for them, or whatever it is, we actually have to put boundaries on that. Oh, yeah. That's the reality. It's not for everybody. Not everybody is ready to go there. I've noticed myself playing this game a lot. Like I've spent I don't know, like I'm working with people for 17 years in all sorts of different capacities, and I've been into the work on myself, like the proper work, like for 11 years. And the experiences that I have had and the way I have explored myself, it's just so it's in so many different levels that it requires specific individuals that can actually receive that. And if I start trying to meet essentially like them and start diluting my work and trying to do something that it doesn't even suit me, like it's just the dynamic will be completely, and people won't be committed.
And I think that really taps into, with making money in this world, right? That's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what do I charge for the transformation that I'm willing to go through and that I'm able to take you through? And are you willing to meet me there? Because what happens is that energetic exchange is high at this point.
Yeah.
Because if you're not willing to place that much value, because money is value, on what is happening, you're not really going to go through that process. So every time I meet somebody that's like not ready, I regret it.
Yeah.
And it brings me, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that again. And then it plays on my little wounded healer heartstrings of, I've been abused, I've been through this, but I can't afford it. Can I pay you like this? And I'm like, sure. And then every time I regret it.
It's very, very common. We can't save everyone. That's the reality. That's why I've seen so many even comments on social media of, highly successful healers or therapists and all the stuff getting attacked. Because, you're supposed to, why are you doing this work? You're supposed to serving everyone, like everyone needs it. Are you doing it just for the money? Like there's just so much out there about those things. Nah, but it's not like that. It's not like that. We have to honor ourselves. We've been in the trenches for so long and we've been through so fucking much. We can't compromise in those ways.
Yeah. And
it's a fact.
How many sessions do you allow yourself to even do a week now?
Because I have high capacity, I can do a lot, but I'm actually really grateful that for a decent amount of time now, I'm not pushing myself like too much. And I'm really trying to balance myself between the coaching aspect and the healing aspect, which is good. So that balances things out. But I know, like, if I start, because it's the money aspect that you said, if you start doing sessions because you need money or this and that, it never ends well.
And as a facilitator, what are the craziest projections that you've received from your clients, holding them in that space?
Especially because I work with women. It's just, It can be very, very intense. But to tell you the truth, this is something that I'm actually reflecting a lot, especially recently, because of certain situations that they have come to my sphere and things that I have seen. One thing that I'm really proud of myself is the way I've been able to hold myself, especially for 6 years working with women. I've never had a single problem, no matter the projections, and projections go both ways. And obviously the most important thing for us is to notice our projections through the processes that we go with people. And it's very, very important. So the more you can see your own projections, then it becomes very, very clear or what can come up in your way. But for a male therapist, when you work with women and you actually take them to places, such deep places that they have never been before, and especially it's the safety component. When you provide safety to a woman for the first time, can bring up all sorts of things. Can bring up, like sexual energy, can bring up like so many projections, it can bring up a lot of things. So the amount of times that I see their father projecting to me, or like the guru or all sorts of things, it's just, it's very common.
And for male facilitators that are listening in on this, and how, of course, you want to hold safe space and you want to bring them to those places and spaces. That's a beautiful gift. How do you maintain that boundary?
You need to fucking humble yourself.
Thank you.
Consistently. And this is the problem. And especially with men, they just don't put themselves through discomfort enough and in the experiences that can actually humble them. So for me, I know every single year I will have to do at least twice a year an experience that completely fucking destroys me and humbles me. It's necessary. So I'm always seeking of ways to keep myself in check. What I mean by that, I have people around me that I trust that no matter what, they're gonna tell me the truth. So as soon as they notice something, they're gonna tell me that. Even with my partner, like for me, it's a must. Like every partner that I have, I always say, please, whenever you see anything, just let me know, because especially with people that you spend so much time, they get to know you so well, so they will notice the slightest, shift or patterns or anything. So for me, I have things in place that consistently I check myself. It's very, very important. That's why, for example, like with my business partners, the way I run the retreats, it's very, very intense. Like we have a retreat in April in Perth. We've been running them now for 4.5 years. So we call them the warrior retreats, which is basically like an initiation for men. And we literally take them through hell. Through this process, their ego will shatter. They're gonna face every possible projection, story, beliefs, like everything. Because we take them in the beginning through this extreme physical activity that it's almost like special forces, which you cannot hide. And we put a group of men like in such deep processes there, but not from a place, as you see in the military and all the stuff, with men shouting on top of them and screaming at them and swearing at them. We actually teach them. We give them the tools, how to stay regulated and present through the process, how to breathe properly for performance and all the stuff, so they won't actually like go to places that it's too overwhelming. We support them emotionally through the process. But it's so fucking intense that by the time they finish, they're literally in a place that they have noticed all the stories in their mind, the beliefs that they have even towards other men and women, but at the same time, because their body will break down and they're consistently gonna see also how many limitations the mind puts, by the time they come out, they're just so open and so exhausted that there's no defenses at all. Yeah, they cannot anymore like actually defend themselves. So then the emotional work starts, the psychological work, the plant medicine aspect. So it's such a profound and holistic experience. And that's the whole point for us. We want to create better men. Men that they are connected, mind, body, and spirit, and they actually understand how to conduct themselves and how to be healthy, and how to reintegrate themselves in their lives in a much, much different way.
And women are so different.
Very.
Very different. Yeah. That's like, when we are holding a woman through, a 10-day experience, the safety is the most important, but it's pretty much all emotional the whole time. There's really not a lot of physical components besides getting in the body. But once they're in there,
accessing the body in a different way.
Accessing the body in a different way and allowing the mind to show how it's presenting in the body, and then holding them through that. But I guess the next question I have is like, how do we then teach each other how to understand how different we are and how to then hold space, right? Like you're now in a conscious, beautiful relationship. I'm in one. We were both single last time we talked.
Yeah.
And to call that in, that is the deepest healing I've ever done now within a mirror of whatever, divine union, whatever you want to call it, the yin and yang. But I've been able to explore places and darknesses within myself, knowing that I have the polarity in somebody that's not going to turn around when things get hard.
Yeah.
But people don't even, it's like the self-work has to happen first before that can even begin.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people stay in that single place, not even recognize it. They're like, oh, the healing and the pleasure and the intimacy that you can go with another person is beyond anything you can do on your own. So how do we then teach how to come together as that next step for humanity?
Yeah, very important question. So see what people, for example, here where we live in Cebu, majority of people are single. What are they doing with their single time? How much time do they spend actually to get to know themselves in a deeper way and actually meet both energies inside of them, the masculine and the feminine? Because we both have both energies inside, but if you don't spend time connecting with both and create that inner marriage, and look, it's not a prerequisite like to have that inner marriage before you go on a relationship, but at least start actually going through those processes. Because then the person that you're gonna meet, your experience is gonna be very, very different. And this is the thing, it's their energies, and we need to understand what both mean and how actually, like when we come together with a partner, understanding, for example, from a male perspective, what the feminine is, it changes completely the way we can actually hold the feminine in a relationship. Because we're very different. The feminine is chaotic, emotional, like, all the things like the flow, the softness and everything else, where the masculine is the structure, is, it's the penetrative energy. It's very, very different. But if we don't understand as men that we actually all we have to do, especially with women, it's actually hold that safe present for them to express themselves, like you straight away are losing the battle. How many times, and we've all experienced it, like, especially with women, you start to get emotional, you just want to express the intensity that you have in mind, and then the person that you are with gets completely defensive, and you completely shut down. Mm-hmm. It's such a simple thing to do, but it requires so much work internally to being able to do that.
And to not take the projection
to not take
on.
It personally also, that's the reality.
Because it's not personal. It's I'm having, and the feminine energy is I am feeling and I'm having an experience right now. Mm-hmm. Now I could swallow that if I wanted to, but if I allow it to breathe and move, it's just an experience. It's just an energy moving through. Yeah. And most likely it's because we don't feel seen or understood, and we just need to get it out. And the second that you sit there and say, "It's okay, honey, I got you." It's
all you have to do. Hey, it's okay, baby. Just let it all out.
And then you just cry it out, because it really, it's like anger with women is never really true anger. I feel like it's always like, I'm just really sad and not feeling seen. I'm a little girl right now, and I'm going to project this at you. But at the second that a man sits there and takes that anger and then gets angry back, it's like, you're not hearing me. It gets worse, right? And then we have two kids fighting.
and this is the important thing. Like, if you haven't done work to understand even the inner child concept and all the stuff, you're not going to be able to see when your partner actually regresses to those states, and the inner child comes up to basically express all the emotions that she didn't have the opportunity to go to. And that's why, like, those sacred containers, they are made for that. It's the perfect opportunity for both partners to actually have that safe space, to go there and move through those things. And that's why profound healing can happen.
And women listening, it's not a one-way street. That's another thing. Like, it's not only that the man needs to step and hold you. You need to be able to hold yourself enough so that when...
And take accountability for your stuff.
And not be an asshole. But also when your guy comes in and he's got something, he's now in his feminine.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Can you hold it?
But here is the thing, though, with men, it's the process is different, because if as a man you start actually dumping your bullshit to the woman, she's not responsible to hold that. And unfortunately, I feel this is where we have gone wrong a bit with the healing work and all the stuff. It start to make men overly emotional and start to operate essentially as women. And then they go in that relationship and they're constantly like just dumping.
Yeah.
You can't be like that. She's going to lose respect. That respect. You need to be able as a man to hold all of your stuff. This is what a woman needs to see from you. That you have the ability and the capacity to fucking hold yourself. If you start dumping to your woman, your stuff, it's not going to work. It's a fact. So men, they need to get more emotionally intelligent and connect with their emotions, but not actually make the woman responsible to process this for them. You need to be able as a man to hold that. That's it.
And how do you teach that? Through that process of...
Yeah, you have to go through all these processes. It's deep work. You don't change from one way to another. A lot of men, they're so trapped inside their mind. When you start to get them inside their body and they actually see how much they have inside. I was there also. That we all been there, like that we do work. You have to start from that. But if you start going in and you start seeing what you have, and then you go back to your relationship and you start fucking dumping it in, it's not gonna work. That's why you need to receive support. And this is the problem with men. They just struggle with committing to do this kind of work.
Why is
Commitment
that?
in general for men, it's a big thing.
Why is that, you think?
Fear, like deep-rooted fears. That's the problem. That's the problem. And the same with relationships. Why men cannot commit to a woman? Because they still operate from a boy mentality. They start having all these fears. Oh, I'm gonna lose this. I'm gonna lose my freedom. I'm gonna lose, the other women, or like all sorts of stories that they carry. But when you start actually transition from boyhood to manhood, you hold yourself in a completely different way, and it's a very it's not easy, but it requires from you to master your energy, and actually understand also like where your mind takes you. Because, we live, for example, in Canggu. There are beautiful men and women all over the place, everywhere here. That's how this place is. And unfortunately, both parties, they keep complaining about the dating here and all the stuff, but then you see how they actually behave. And, you are responsible for that. What you crave deep inside is fucking intimacy. That's what you're craving. That's why you need to do this kind of work. And then you're going to find a good woman that properly she can actually receive you.
And with intimacy, why do you think the quick fix is what people go for rather than like true intimacy? Because I think people look at relationships and they see problems, emotions. It's like, but they don't actually see the depth of like what intimacy brings. With what's going on in your relationship, like how would you tell like a single guy how much better real intimacy is?
Intimacy is into me, I see. So if you cannot see yourself first and experience intimacy inside, if you have never been intimate with yourself, how the fuck are you gonna be with another person? I actually ask this question a lot of the times to men, and I actually ask them, have you ever made love to yourself? Like truly made love. You didn't just masturbate or have a wank like the way men talk consistently. Have you actually sat with yourself? You felt safe within your body, you experienced your pleasure, and you actually made love to yourself.
I don't even know if I would have any idea if anyone has done that.
but that's the whole
part
thing.
Of the
if you cannot go there with yourself, you can't go with a partner.
It's the same with women, though. It's just like
but that's the problem, because we have taught women also to perform. That's the thing. We have conditioned as men, women, to also perform, and they cannot connect with themselves. We both work with women. Most women are literally disconnected with their body.
They don't even know they have one.
Seeing women not being able to orgasm or not being able to access their woman, access their pleasure properly, like it's just...
It's what's the point of life, though,
and
really.
women, you're supposed to be the ones that you are connected with your vessel, even more so than us.
I always tell women, like, if you can't orgasm, you're completely out of your body and you're in your head.
Yeah.
And a woman's brain, I actually think, is pleasure. Like,
but if you don't unlock the woman's mind, you cannot go further.
Right.
It has to start from up here. If you don't make love to the mind, you can't access anything else. That's it.
But a woman's body tells the yes so quick. Like, I don't know if it's different from men, but the yes and the no for a woman, once you're in there, it's just so easy. The mind, you don't even have to ask the mind. So when I was like dating in the end, I knew what my body was going to feel like when I met him, because I had been to the place of making love to myself, and I knew what my body was. I trained it almost to know, like, this is my yes, and when I meet him, I'm going to feel this. And every time I'd say, like, no, this is a no. I didn't even have to think, because if I thought, I'd be like, well, on paper, he does this, he makes this money, he does this,
but how
right?
fucked up is that, man? We make this list.
Like list.
That's how we actually date.
And this, check. And then my body, I'd sit there and I'd be like, no, but I'd be like, but he's so good for me. And then it's just not there.
No.
You know?
That's why everybody's single. They go through these big lists.
It's so funny. Your first date, it's literally an interview for a job. It's so terrible.
No. It's crazy. Like, I will bring myself also my example with my partner. So I thought I actually have experienced even safety, like with a woman and all the stuff. But the reality is, all I knew in my life and what I actually confused as love was literally lust, intensity, and trauma bonding. That's the reality. So when I took a break and I stayed single for 1.5 years, and I did all this work on myself, working with a mother wound, feminine wounds, and actually going deeper into all those things, eventually a healthy partner came in. And when she came in, when I spent time with her, I literally, my nervous system freaked out. And I'm like, holy fuck, what is happening to me? It was very confusing. But because I have done all this work and I know like actually, what things may mean and all the stuff. So I sat a bit with that, and I actually had this massive realization. I'm like, holy fuck, safety feels unsafe to me.
Right?
That's the thing. And I was literally freaking out. I would be next to her. I couldn't fall asleep. I was almost having a panic attack. And I'm like, holy fuck, this is what safety did to me. So yes, I did find safety inside. But when I was ready to bring someone in, this is when I could actually go deeper. So I had to really sit with everything that was coming up on my nervous system, on a story level, and with her support, actually, because obviously there was things for her too. She never had a healthy partner either. But that was a great opportunity for both to go deeper and actually experience even deeper intimacy and connection.
Because when you have peace, like when the mind and body is in alignment and you have inner peace, right? Like it feels neutral.
Yeah.
It's not this big high. It's not super exciting. It's not all the butterflies and the pheromones and the, oh my God. Like, yeah, in the beginning, that lust, like you said, and that intimacy, like that's attraction, right? You got to have that, of course.
You have to have attraction.
But once you get, and when you meet somebody in that depth of the container, I was creating chaos because it felt boring without it. I was like creating drama.
I was the same.
I was like, oh, something's not right, you know?
Yeah. Not drama, but like it was the intensity thing that I was always seeking. Because all I knew was chaos also.
Right? And then and you have to retrain your body. Like, is that really, chasing chaos and chasing highs, big swings, but do I really want to swing anymore? Or do I want...
And a safe partner actually will feel boring. It's true. I like legit.
And tantric sex
for us,
with a partner, it's not that exciting. It's presence. It's like slow. It's deep intimacy, gazing into each other's eyes, actually seeing the soul beyond the body and being in the energy and just breathing is so beautiful. Yeah. And it's not what, like, you know, when I thought about what that was going to be like, I never thought it's so different than what you think.
Oh, very.
Do you know what I mean?
Very,
and you can't explain it until you've done it. But it's like this, I see you and I see me inside you. And I know that this is... Yeah.
And when you come together, there's this beautiful intertwined experience.
And the energy starts to move together.
And that's how you experience God in the most profound way. But how many people can go there? That's the reality.
Not many.
Because you have to bring the soul in. Literally, the soul has to have another soul, and basically you have to make you have to make sex in a soul level. And what do we see out there? We just see beautiful packages wrapped in a very beautiful ribbon and all that stuff. So everybody's so focused externally, how they're gonna get ripped, how they're gonna look a certain way and all that stuff. There's no fucking depth behind, and all you see it's a fucking empty vessel that looks good.
Yep.
How far are you gonna go with that?
Half the OnlyFans people that I've had I've talked to, they can't even orgasm. Yet they have like 800,000 followers, people watching them fake orgasm because again, it's the performative part, you know? And you can't, energy doesn't lie. No. Like it just doesn't lie. My body tells me within seconds whether or not somebody's done the work, whether or not, you know, and I think we just need to get to the point as a collective or even just as a group here where like showcasing that true intimacy for the people who are watching this that are single, that are so afraid to give up their freedom. You're going to experience expansion beyond anything you've ever dreamed of once you face your shit, make love with yourself, and call in another that's willing. It's beyond. No,
you grow so much faster afterwards. Like so it's just the growth speeds up in such a profound way. But that's the thing. It's you have to really put yourself in a position by doing like the work on yourself and understanding yourself so you can actually have that discernment to bring the right partner in. Because this is the most important decision you will ever make in your life. We all have plenty of examples for making really terrible choices because our nervous system take us there because this is all it knows. And we think, you know, this is the right thing, but essentially all it is familiarity. But if you don't go past that, we're constantly going to be making the same mistake. And essentially, there's a massive risk of fucking up your life. That's the reality. That's the problem. In order to have enough discernment to bring a partner in that you can grow together and experience that union and that depth, you will have to go there yourself first. It's very, very important. And connect with the body so you know what feels right properly this time.
As you've been deepening into your experience, do you notice that the clients coming to you are also, deepening more into that as well? Or are you still kind of seeing the younger versions of you too?
The younger versions of myself through the sessions.
Yeah, through clients.
Yeah, I do see that a lot, like especially with men. Yeah, it's really funny because the way it has transitioned for me, especially the last 1 year, I get a lot of men between 28 to 31, like Saturn return, where it's usually like the first big crisis in both men and women life, where you exhaust your egoic conditioning and you start to ask deeper questions, and a lot of the times things start to fall apart in your life. So this is what happened to me also. In my Saturn return, I left Greece for the first time in my life to start like a life in Australia, in the other side of the world, really not knowing almost anyone. And I have never left Greece. So it was such a massive shift. But the reality is, I'm helping people that they are in similar situations the way I was back then. So I understand the process so much, and I know exactly how to guide someone. And that's why I bring a lot of people in like that. Like it happens naturally. And then the other thing is, because where I'm at now, and I also went through the process, is with men when they go through their midlife crisis. This is where, for a lot of people, they still haven't actually heard the call of their soul. They keep not listening, they keep denying that it exists and all the stuff, and eventually it comes to a point that life starts to fall apart in even more profound ways. So this is where I come in, basically. So I love working with people when they are in these two phases.
And are you not working with women at all anymore?
I do
Yeah.
a lot still.
But you would rather work with men, or does it matter?
No, I work with both. But essentially both in the same basically phases. Yeah.
Okay.
But I do get a lot of women that they are either facilitators or therapists, like along those lines, because women, you are much more connected up there. Like like what comes through is so intense at some times, and I do feel the feminine needs the masculine presence to help them ground essentially through those processes, so they can.
100%. It's interesting because I feel the same as you. It's funny. I said I'm only working with women now. That's
Yeah.
my niche. But the men I'm holding are facilitators.
Yeah.
Because they've
They
held
need your
themselves as far
guidance
as
in
they
the way
can.
that they. Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's integrity.
Yeah.
In the work.
Yeah.
I don't think that we should be, as facilitators, holding the little boy. Like I always send them to you or to somebody else because they don't need me. What I'm going to be is a projection of their mother wound, and I don't really want to hold that. Now, can I? Yeah, but do I really? It's like I don't want to be looked at like that anymore. Like, oh, you're my hero, because I'm not. I've just I'm just a little bit further along in the journey than you, and I'm humble enough to say, please stop putting me there because it's uncomfortable. And so that's like my biggest fear with working with men, is that projection. And also how the boundaries, like you see a lot of people that step into these places, people come in, they fall in love with them.
Yeah.
And then they go and they throw it out that there was like, ill will or bad things that happened. I have a teacher at the Path recently, and somebody fell in love with her during her container, and she had to drop boundaries and then blasted her on the internet. Like, that stuff is real.
Oh, man.
The projection is real. So stop falling in love with your facilitators. We're really not, anyone that's normal is not here for it. Yeah. And anybody that's hitting on you that's a facilitator is probably in their shadow and needs to be called out. So speak your truth on that as well,
Yeah. I do agree with that massively.
Yeah. So what is the next road for you looking like in holding people and moving people through to different places?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely, so I've created a container now for men, which is basically a 12-month mastermind, because I haven't had a space actually for men that they can come through after, retreats, workshops, and all that stuff where we do like the very deep processes. So now I've created that container with my business partner. So we're going to basically have that space for men that we can work through every area of life and have the accountability that they need, challenges, like all the things, and help them grow and actually integrate their big experiences in a much deeper way. And then there's basically my one-on-one work, which I'm really excited because I really made it even more clear in regards to my process and, how I work with people. So I do focus also on high performing men and women. I do work still with men and women there. And then there's also the retreats. So for me, the retreats are always my happy space.
Yeah, and you're still combining the somatics and the psychedelics together.
Somatics, psychedelic, psychological work, yeah. So that's the thing. I have a lot of tools in my arsenal to work with people. That's why it makes it a bit, confusing and very hard. Everybody talks about niche nowadays and all the stuff, but it's so hard to package, like something complex, something so complex. So yeah, I'm going through those processes, and like you also, we constantly grow. Also, we learn new skills and tools, and the more we also practice, our work, the more powerful also we become in the way we hold space and the way how we can hold and guide people.
I love that you're doing a 12-month integration container, because that's been really clear to me that with big transformation comes integration, and it takes time. You can't step into your shadow and just immediately transform your life. There's a lot of death and rebirth that happens in that process, and holding through it's essential.
It took you, that's what I say all the time, it took you 3-4 decades to fuck yourself up. You're not gonna change that in just one retreat, on one breathwork workshop or one healing session. It doesn't work like that.
It's a life.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's the important thing. We need really, as facilitators, to teach people, to educate people how their life is gonna change through those processes, and essentially that they will have to live from now on with this new understanding on themselves of how they connect with themselves. Because everything changes. All of a sudden you start to see parts of yourself in your mind coming online. You listen to the stories. You start basically to have so much more awareness, and it doesn't make your life easier. It actually makes your life more complex. But that's the beauty of it, because you can see so much more of yourself, and you fall in love with this process. That's
in love and out of love with it over and over. Andre says that to me all the time. He's like, thank you for this healing. I feel better some days and way worse some days. Sometimes I wish I could go back to the ignorance.
But it goes back to that duality. You can't constantly be fucking happy and jumping around. You are going to have bad days. You are going to have days that you're going to be exhausted. You are going to have days that you're going to lose your sleep. This is part of life. But that's fully living. You embrace everything. You embrace the discomfort, you embrace the pain, you embrace the pleasure, you embrace everything. That's how it changes. Your experience becomes so much more complete and whole. That's the whole point.
Because you're not bypassing one part. That goes back to the whole beginning part of this conversation. We can't bypass one side without the other. Explore it all. Have fun.
That's it. Have fun. We heal so we can be able to live. Have fun. That's it.
Stop being those perpetual spiritual archeologists that are healing. Live.
That's another big one.
Live.
The addiction to healing and the identity that people make from healing. Yeah. That's another one.
Just live.
Yeah. Just enjoy.
Not everybody needs to be shadow workers like we are, right? And I had the clients that come to me, I want to work like you. I'm like, I don't think you do.
No, you don't.
I don't think you really want to do that. I'm in process 24/7. But amazing. Thank you for coming back on. I really appreciate your wisdom. And guys, anybody that's looking for men's work, please reach out to Theo. I'll make sure I pop it in the comments. He's wonderful and probably one of the only embodied men that I've seen on this island. So
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for this beautiful conversation.
This conversation isn't easy, but it's necessary, because healing spaces are meant to be places of safety, not confusion. Liberation, not coercion. And as this work becomes more visible, the responsibility of facilitators and leaders becomes greater, not smaller. And my hope is that this episode doesn't create fear, but it gives clarity, that it empowers discernment, reinforces boundaries, and reminds us that true healing never requires submission, secrecy, or silence. So thank you for listening with maturity and care. And if this conversation stirred something personal for you, please take the time and space you need to integrate safely. Reach out to me if you've been through something like that. I specialize in healing from these types of spaces, and I've been through it myself. So reach out to me and let me hold you. I would love to be a part of your journey. Thanks for listening.